Hey guys, welcome back to Bait and Tackle. I'm your host Joe Frank, and today we're going to talk about what I just had in the last video, the powder paint sprayer. Now I've done a little research. I checked out a couple videos online from, I believe it was TJ's Tackle, that had a couple older videos from a couple years ago. They were mentioning, you know, how much to fill in here and that kind of thing. And I noticed that the brand is right there on the side. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but that says Badger. Okay. And if any of you guys know that, I know Badger makes air brush, like sprayers, air sprayers. So I did a little research, tried to see if they had any like parts for these, if you could find different things. And so far I've had no luck. I've found the air brush sprayers that have like, it sprays back here and then it's got the tip here where the paint comes up and it sprays, or I'm not really actually too sure on how that works, but it's different from these. So these are a little bit unique. I'm not sure where TJ's is getting these from, or I'm gonna have to do a little bit more digging, and I might even just reach out to them and see where they're getting these from. Because my concern is the tip. You can take this tip off, and actually let me get you down to the bench here so we can take a look at this thing a little bit closer. All right guys, so this is the airbrush we're talking about. Again, it says Badger right here. I have tried it already. I was heating up this underspin that I have, one of my small ones, and I was just spraying it with some white just to see how it did. And I gotta be honest, it did pretty well. That top, there's a little bit too much silver there. You can see the color difference right there, and the side is white. But it did keep that detail. So it puts on a very fine coat, but I gotta be honest, it gets powder everywhere. So I need to come up with some kind of a little station, like what I did with my airbrush station in my other cabinet, where I have my fan assembly that actually takes all of the stuff up and out and takes it outside. That I have it set up so that you could put in a little airbrush station. I was actually doing spraying in that booth before, and it worked very, very well. But this definitely will require a ventilation type system. But I'm going to show you a little bit of this today, and then that way you just understand what you're getting into. So I think for base coats, I think we're good. But what I'm going to do in this video too is I'm going to spray this a little bit more, but we're going to switch over to like black. And I want to see if I can do like a spot, and then see if I can do like maybe some lines with a comb or something like that. We can try like just a couple different types of designs, and that way we can just see how well this actually works. But you got to keep in mind, you got to keep this thing heated on the heat gun and then bring it back and spray it. So, but let's take a look at this. I wanted to show you guys this. So here's the gun itself. Here's the spray button, and here is the nozzle. This comes off. This unscrews off here, and that nozzle, to me, I would think you'd be able to replace that nozzle because it's a little bit big. I would think that you'd be able to get something a little bit more fine for that. But then again, powder paint, especially in particular this white pearl, is a little bit thicker, so I don't know if that's going to work or not. The other thing you have to keep in mind with this, and after watching the TJ's Tackle videos, he was saying that you just want a little bit above the bottom of that tube. You don't need much in there. And what you can do is you just got to keep shaking this powder paint up so it's nice and loose. And then if it's filled up or gunked up, you can actually put your finger on the nozzle and you'll see the air come back down through here when you spray it, and it backs it back through that tube. And I'll actually show you guys that when I get it up and running here. But I wanted to show you, let me turn you here. I have my pump right here. It's a Polaco. I believe that came from Amazon, and it does have a little adjustment knob on the end, but it has two pumps out both ends. It's got two adapter hoses. One goes to my fluid bed. This one, I just made this up the other day. It's a piece of blue tube, and it goes into a little fitting where I can screw this on. So I think we're good. And I did buy an adapter for that. You can buy an adapter, whatever you want, but the basically, in a nutshell, this requires very little air, like 1 PSI, like very, very little, because all you're doing is spraying, you're just spraying powder. That's all it is. And it's got to be very low. It doesn't take much like your, traditional airbrushes, which even those don't take a lot of pressure, but this takes very, very little pressure. So you could run it off of this, and I've already done it running off that pump. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna get set up here, and then we'll try doing some examples. All right, guys, so let's do this. I'm gonna get this heat gun going a little bit, and you probably can't see the heat gun, but you get what I'm trying to do here. So I'm gonna actually take this jig off, and I'm just gonna mess around with a couple of these little underspins that I've made, because I actually want to bring some of these with me on my trip for work. So here's one that's unpainted, just lead, ready to go, and I've got another one here too. But what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get out a new jar, we're gonna put some black in it, and we're gonna try doing some black like spots and black like lines and stuff like that on it. Just something simple and basic, just so that we can check it out, try it, okay? So let's go ahead and do some base coating with this white. And I want to show you a little bit with this gun, just so you can be familiarized with what it does. And I just want to show you how it works. So I'm just going to shake it up just a little bit, shake up that powder, get it nice and loose, while I heat this jig up, this underspin. And while it's heating, like I was saying, if the tube gets clogged, what I was telling you guys before is you can actually spray it back, and we're going to do that in here in a second. I just want to show you what this does. Okay, here we go. You ready? I'm going to try to get this close to the camera I can. So you can see a lot is going into the air there. You got to keep shaking it. But it is getting powder pretty much everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this back up. So definitely should be wearing a mask or something, but for this video, just since I'm trying to demonstrate for you guys, I'm obviously not going to be wearing some of that. And what I was saying about if it's clogged up, you can put your finger here and push. See how it's back up into the container? You can see it moving in there. There it is. So if it gets gummed up, you can do that, and it'll clean it out. So let me heat this up one more time real quick. And again, like I said, we're just trying to get a little bit of a base coat on here. So we're not trying to do anything crazy, okay? I'm gonna back this up a little bit so you guys can see this better. But as far as keeping the coating very light without dipping and getting too much paint and get your paint bubbles and that kind of stuff, this is pretty cool. So I do like it. Like I just said, it's just a little bit different from what I'm used to. You got to keep shaking it up. Make sure that powder is nice and light. Okay, so that's as much as I'm going to do. So I'm just going to, like I said, I'm just coating these with a white coat. Just a nice light. I'm not going crazy. The back's not going to be white, just doing the sides. See, just doing the sides here. A little bit of the top. But I got a little bit of silver showing through, which I want that. I'm just going to leave it as is, okay? So let's go ahead. Set this off to the side. We'll do a couple of these. And this one is pretty much good. That's the one I did before. So we're going to go ahead and do, like I said, I'm going to do a couple of these just so we can try some different stuff. So pretty neat. I like the gun. I wish it did more detail. But like I said, let's try doing a spot without any kind of a stencil first, and I may get some stencils out. I have stencils. I may get a stencil out just to see what we can do with a stencil. So this may be pretty cool. I'd say if you're doing stenciling, it's probably good, but if you're doing fine spray work like what you would do with an airbrush, I don't know if this is really the right move. And it gets cold real fast, so you gotta keep heating up your jig heads. But look at the white dusting here it's making from spraying in the same spot. So it's definitely, but it's probably not using that much powder is the beauty of this. It's really not using that much at all. I mean, these are little jig heads too, so it's not like I'm just hitting certain spots here. And sorry for the camera angles, it might get really crappy. I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to, there we go. Okay, so that one's pretty nice. White, like I said, the only part that's not really gonna be white is back here in the back, but I don't want those sprayed because the bait's gonna cover that up anyway. So I'm just gonna leave that there as is. Okay, and let's do this last one. It's already covered with white because it's been laying on the table. Look at the outline of the underspin. That's pretty funny. So we're just going to heat this one up. Again, do the same thing here. And then I'm going to switch over to black. And I think how I'm going to do that is I'm going to paint this guy white. Then I'm going to blow back the nozzle into the container to try to get out any white that was left over. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. I mean, it works pretty good. The only thing I'd have to say is you got to keep shaking that paint up real good to get a good coat. And the same thing applies here. Same thing applies here as doing your other jig heads to bake them if you want to bake them in your toaster oven. Just got to make sure that you bake them at 350 for 20 minutes or so. You can do it longer if you want. That one's actually pretty good. Like I said, I don't want a super big coating. I think we're good there. So again, we're missing, there's a little bit of silver coming through there, but that's okay. Like I said, I don't want full coverage. If I wanted full coverage, I'd dip them into the paint. So let's get some black in this container now, which unfortunately I'm using. Well, I'll just get another one. I bought like 5 of these, so should be good. So I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get some black paint, some black powder paint. Try to get a little bit into this jar. And we don't need a lot. That's probably good. Okay, like 1/4 of an inch in there. And again, what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna blow back. Let me just make sure I've got, yeah, I'm gonna blow back the white into the thing by putting my finger on this nozzle and blowing it back into the container. See it? Okay, so that's good. So let's get that off. Kind of knock some of that loose, wipe that off. Into the black we go. Okay. Got the black in there, shook up a little bit. Now, let's just try freehanding like the eye cavity of this little bait with black. That's what we're going to try next. So let's go ahead and heat this up a little bit. This will be a really good trial. And I'm going to try to get the nozzle close. Then that way I can concentrate my spray area and try. I'm just going to try to like do a little tiny bump. Okay. So here we go. That actually worked pretty good. And do the same thing the other side. Not bad, fellas. That actually worked out pretty well. I'm going to take it back over, heat it up. I would say that you probably don't even need to do any kind of stencil or anything. That worked out really well. So really close. But again, that was pretty close. So let's keep that one. That one's really good. That's like just an eye cavity. Let's do the next one. We're going to do another dot, except this time we're going to do a dot back in the gill plate area, and I'm going to try to do a really small dot in the upper corner. So let's try this. I'm going to get the paint mixed up here a little bit. But I could see if you wanted to do a whole bunch of these exactly the same way, I could see this being really beneficial for somebody trying to do a lot of powder paint jigs and stuff like that. All right, so here we go. You ready? You may be in the way for this, but I'm going to try my best. How's that? Let's see if we can match it on the other side. Guys, that's pretty incredible. Look at that. Is that awesome or what? That worked out really well. So if you just be very careful, you can do some really cool stuff here. Now let's try. I'm going to try doing something really cool. Let's try doing the comb technique. I really love what this does with the fine tooth comb. I'm going to heat up this next jig. This is going to be really hard because I've got to hold the comb and I've got to hold the bait at the same time. So I'm going to shake up my paint again. Just remember, you got to always keep that thing loose. I got to be honest, guys. So far, I am really digging this. And this is just black and white. I could imagine. Could you imagine what other colors you could do? I mean, this is pretty slick. So let's hold the comb right just like that. Yeah, that really didn't get defined. No, I mean, a little bit there. Let's try the other side. Let's try this side and see if I can get it to go any better. Yeah, that really didn't work out as well as I wanted it to. It just kind of put black over white. I can see a little bit of the line on the bottom of the bait. From here, it's really tough to see on camera. And it tried to make some lines on that side, but really didn't do it that well. So that we'll have to work on. I'm going to try getting a stencil. I don't think it's spraying either. Let me try just hitting the eyes real quick with this. So the only thing I could say about this is only thing I could really say about this is and I probably don't have my jig heated up hot enough. I got to keep reminding myself to go over to the heat. heat it up. Go over to the heat it up. Okay, so I just darkened the eyes a little bit. We're gonna put that one back. I want to do another one of those little shad dots. Let's see if we can do that again on this one. Let's see if we can do that shad dot again, because that was really cool. And again, we'll do some more videos on this. This is going to be a really cool tool to have, and I want to show you guys what you can do with this thing. And I'm going to do some more research too on the side. So let's go ahead and try the shad dot again. Oh God, it's so good. A little high, but that's okay. Look at that. It's so cool. Look at this one, came out perfect. Right behind the eye. Man, that's awesome. And imagine that I'm bigger. I wanted to try smaller jigs so you could see what that come out like, but man, that is phenomenal. All right, so, and you know what, just for giggles here, I'm gonna go ahead and take that one I did the eye sockets on, and I'm gonna put little shad dots on that one too. Because that's so cool to me. I'm gonna put a couple shad dots on here. All right, here we go. Let's see if this does it. Perfect. Didn't shake up my paint. A little bit, a little faint on that one, but that side, look at that. That came out awesome. All right, guys, so I'm gonna turn off the heat gun here. Oh man, what a powdered mess. Powdered mess. And then I'm knock that over, knock my jig heads over. Good Lord. Just not having the day, am I? Where'd that go? There it is. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and bake these and put these things together. I'm gonna put some underspins on them, and I think we'll come back just so you can see what I've come up with here. All right, guys, here we go. So these came out really good. I'm gonna show you this one real quick. Unbelievable. That came out fantastic. Way better than I had anticipated. Again, I can still see a little bit of the silver coming through from the lead, but majority of it is covered with white with that little black spot. Oh, it's so awesome. So I'm a little bit skeptical. I think, I don't know that you'd really need another sprayer nozzle for this or not. I think it actually does pretty well by itself. So you really may not need anything like that. I'm not sure about keeping this paint in the sealed container. I mean, keeping it in a sealed container obviously works really well. I'm sure it'll keep the dampness out of it and everything like that. And I'm probably just going to keep this in one of the empty jars. I'll probably get some more jars here at some point. But way to go, Badger. Way to go, TJ's Tackle. I'm very impressed. I really couldn't say anything real bad about it, other than it occasionally gets a little bit clogged, or not clogged up, but you know, the paint's got to be there and it's got to be fluffed up all the time. So you just got to remember to heat, ready to spray, shake, spray. So you just got to remember to keep that process in your head. So I think I'm going to take some pictures here, and I think we're going to close this video out. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I think that actually does a lot better than I thought it was going to do. I mean, I really thought that it was going to be a little bit more, I don't know what the right word would be, frustrating, I guess. I kind of thought that it would be a little bit more difficult to play around with that powder paint to get it to flow correctly and that kind of thing. I thought it would be more of a headache. But the fine detail with how small of a dot you can go with is pretty dang sweet. So I think, and these are really small jigs. I did that for a reason. I wanted to see how detailed I could get on a small jig, and I think it worked. The one where I did the little lines on it, like for the comb, it actually did come out okay. See the line? You can see the lines in there. It's just not as pronounced as I would really like it. So I'll probably end up probably not really doing that too much. I might do it maybe some different colors. I think some different colors might actually make that a little bit better. But for the most part, I'm pretty pleased. So detail-wise, not bad. I don't really think you need another nozzle unless you're gonna be doing some really, really detailed work, which I'm not sure if they do sell a detailed nozzle or not. I will reach out to TJ's Tackle and maybe even try to get a hold of Badger and see what their thoughts are on this. I'm not sure if this is something worked out where TJ's Tackle is the only one selling these. I would imagine they're not the only one selling these powder paint sprayers. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, we're going to keep rolling through some videos for doing new products like this. I've definitely got some other things I've got to do at some point here. Like I know I've got a stockpile of molds that I've been buying and stuff and putting off to the side that we need to go through and to do, you know, one video per mold kind of thing. Different stuff that we haven't seen before on the channel. And actually one in particular, or maybe even two in particular, I don't know if they've even been on YouTube yet. But anyway, we're coming up on 2,500 subscribers. Please subscribe if you keep watching my videos. We're gonna come out with content. I try to get one video out a week. I know I missed a week a while back. Things have been going really crazy with work and family and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to keep my head above the water, but I'm still trying to keep blasting out good content to you guys so you guys can see new products and new baits and that kind of stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, remember to keep on baiting.